shouldn't tell the kangaroo story.
Okay.
Okay.
Now you're live actually. So.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, hi everyone. I'm Matt from Sydney. I'm a history teacher. I'm an e-learning coordinator. I'm not really sure what that means, depending on the day, depending on the time. Sometimes it means I'm helping kids with issues to do with devices. Some whole staff things at my school. I am at a high school in Sydney, just next to the city. So if you were sitting there bored, which I won't be offended by if you are. I've been to enough teach meets to know that people love to just wander with their mind every so often. So if you wanted to Google St. Scholastica's College, if you can spell it, St. Scholastica's College, that's my one. Or you can just Google my name, Matt Esterman, and you'll probably find where I work. Anyway, it's a beautiful school. It's what we call an independent school. So we have three kinds. We've got government schools, public schools. We have Catholic schools, which are run by the diocese of that area, and we've got independent schools, which might be Catholic or might be some other religious affiliation, or might be just a non-denominational school. So we've got all sorts of schools here, and the beauty of Teach Meets, and this is why I loved to be involved in Teach Meet New Jersey, is Teach Meets just break down those barriers, or we find they do in Australia anyway. For those 2 or 3 hours that we usually run Teach Meets for, you can pretty much just ignore all those political issues, for this, I think. So we'll chat a little bit about Teach Meets today, if you like. But I'll say a couple of things about what I think is cool about professional learning down here, and we'll just have a chat from there. Hopefully that sounds all right. Hopefully, is this back at school now?
Should be starting soon in most districts of back to school.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Well, we're about 2/3 of the way through our school year. We start in January and finish in December. So yeah, we're sort of really in the nitty-gritty of professional learning and trying to measure where our impact is in the classroom and that sort of stuff. So I guess I'll give you a bit of an outline of who I am. Like I said, I'm a history teacher and e-learning coordinator, but I'm also a keen teach meter. So I try and get along to as many as I can, which is sort of less frequently now, unfortunately. I'm on Twitter. I'm just Esterman, which is really not an interesting name. It's sort of the worst superhero name in the world, but that's me, Esterman. And I'd love to have a chat with you on Twitter if you'd like to. And there are a whole bunch of different hashtags and conversations we can talk about in a minute. I blog as well. You can sort of Google that one as well. If you find my name, you'll probably find the blog. And it's been really interesting because a few of my students have discovered that, because they Google us. You should, if you don't know that already, they Google us. And just today, one of my senior modern history kids was like, "So you've got a blog?" And I said, "Do I?" And it's just a fun little thing that you try and connect with the kids a little bit, and they were just, it sort of blows their minds that we are at all in the virtual world, but it's pretty cool as well. So yeah, I've got a little blog going. I'm involved with a few teachers associations here, so not just Teach Meets, the informal, organic sort of stuff. I'm with the ICT Educators of New South Wales as well, so in my state. I'm on the board of directors with them, and what else? History teachers, English teachers, those sorts of groups. So I'm not just one of these crazy radical Trotskyites who want a pure revolution of everything in terms of professional learning. I think there's some great stuff along the whole spectrum, and I think that's what we've got to recognise as well, and our leaders have to recognise that too. That there's Teach Meets, there's Twitter, there's professional learning that you normally go to, like conferences and all that sort of stuff, and it's all good stuff, so long as you can answer some powerful questions about it, which we might talk about a little bit later on. So just a little bit of background on Teach Meets in Australia. They pretty much started in 2011, and if you look up the Teach Meet Sydney or TM Sydney wiki, you see a little bit of the history there, and as I was saying to the people who were here early, the teachmeet.net website has a bit of information about that as well. And since 2011, we've spread from Sydney, and we've grown it in Victoria, and we've grown it in Queensland, and we've grown it in South Australia, and Western Australia is going absolutely nuts over there. They sell out their teach meets. They have to have tickets to their teach meets because every single event seems to sell out. So it's a pretty popular form of professional learning over here. Most of them are 2 to 3 hours, like I mentioned earlier, and they sort of happen mainly on a weeknight. We have had Saturday ones, we've had massive ones of over 300 people, we've had tiny ones. I went to a teach meet in the UK, funnily enough, on a little study trip I did over there, where we had 6 people do this little teach meet, so that was pretty cute. But still, we had some great conversations, and I'm still in contact with those people, and that's the main thing about teach meets is you know, you can take an idea, sure, you can take an app, or you can take a website, or you can take a resource or something like that, but you can also take a person away from a teach meet. So hopefully, I know we're sort of sitting in rows, very, very student-like in this situation, but hopefully we can connect. If you're interested in Australia at all, or you want a contact, if you're a primary school teacher, I can connect you up with primary school teachers. If you're a secondary teacher, of course, middle school, whatever you like. If you're interested in geography, if you're interested in literature, if you're interested in, yes, whether we do have kangaroos in the streets, it's it's very flexible. But yeah, just let me know. There are people here ready to help and ready to chat about pretty much anything. And all you got to do is ask. So this TeachMeet network's grown pretty much across all of Australia now. We won a grant in 2012 as well, the TeachMeet Sydney crew. Won a grant to have a look at the reach and impact of TeachMeet, and well, we tried to, a bit of ethnography and studying ourselves and all that, and we essentially said, look, the impact is immeasurable in some ways, because how can you measure the impact of, the lonely history teacher in their school in, very remote, like I've got relatives who live 12 hours out of Sydney. I teach girls who have to travel on a bus, then a train, then a plane, then a bus to get back to their station out in the outback, because they boarded with us at school. And to see that there's an impact for them in their schools thanks to TeachMeet, that's pretty cool. And to see that it happens sometimes virtually, like we're doing here, I reckon that's pretty cool. So it's a really thriving professional learning community, and I don't know if you guys have read much about professional learning communities, PLCs, but it's one of these, research-based, evidence-based theories that's coming out about the power of professional learning being about community, because, why are you all sitting in a room like this if not to be part of a community, to be part of a group? I mean, we could do this virtually with each of us sitting, half in PJs, half in suit and tie at home, but there's something about physically being in the same space as much as possible, something about face-to-face that TeachMeets, I think, really bring to the fore. So we're expanding into kind of ed camps as well. I don't know if you guys have been to an ed camp before, which I think is similar to what you guys are having at the conference, where the people attending decide what you want to do. So we're sort of branching out into that as well, and then you've got all those debates about, isn't that just a longer TeachMeet, blah, blah, blah. Look, so long as people are learning, I don't care what you call it. TeachMeet's sort of got a nice ring to it now, and people know what they are. And I guess that's one of the key things too, is it's been interesting the spread out here to see, just how people take on that idea of their own professional learning, because for so long we get it shoveled at us, whether it's in staff meetings or professional learning days, or you're going to this conference, or you're going to this workshop, or this is for compliance, or blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. But now we can really start to control and, well, manage and push for our own professional learning. And so that's pretty daunting. And so on top of TeachMeet, what we do is we layer the social media aspect as well. So pretty much every TeachMeet that's ever existed in Australia has a hashtag, whether it's TM Sydney or whether it's TMWA or something like that. Like today has, hashtag TMNJ, which is fantastic, because there are people in Australia, if they were awake, who would follow that and have a look and be able to learn even without having to participate too heavily. And that's a really cool idea, that idea that you can kind of dip your toe in when you can, and if you want to, and you can lurk a little bit, and you can sit and listen just like you would at a conference, but every so often you can jump in and grab something, or every so often you can share an idea and start a conversation. That's pretty cool too. So we really try and utilise Twitter as much as possible to advertise events and to, have conversations. And hopefully I'm preaching to the converted a little bit, but if you're not on Twitter, if you don't have a Twitter account, a professional one, I mean, like if you look at my Twitter account, it says I'm a teacher, and so I try and use it as, as if I was talking to my boss, or as if I was talking to parents at school, or as if I was talking in public to people, because it is public, of course, it's hyper public, it's global. So I really do try and chat. Maybe like tonight, you might go through my Twitter stream and see something on this program we've got over here called Q&A, which is like a political forum kind of show. And, I put stuff out there, but things I'd say in the staff room and things I'd say to anyone who asked me pretty much, and things I'm happy to stand by. So although it's not all, it's not all related to teaching and learning all the time, 100% of the time, at least I'm not going down what Kim Kardashian's wearing or what kind of cupcake I like. Like I'm not going to that extent of non-education stuff just yet. But we'll see. We'll see how late I stay up tonight and what my tweets look like in a couple of hours. So we use Facebook as well. The thing I like about Facebook for this kind of thing is, of course, you don't have to add people as friends all the time. And I think that word friend is super highly loaded, and we've got to chat with our kids. But not that half the kids are on Facebook anymore. They're on Tumblr or they're on something else. But but in terms of using Facebook for professional learning, if you create a group, you don't have to be friends with other people to actually interact. And that's what I really love about it. You can have colleagues connected through social media on something like Facebook, which is nice and familiar. But if you set up these groups or pages, you don't actually have to add each other as friends and have that personal side as well. So that's another aspect that we... and I've just come up. Has anyone used Voxer before? The app Voxer?
Not yet. I'm going to attempt to get into it.
People
cool.
are really excited about it, especially its ease of use.
Yes, it's dangerous how easy to use it is, and also because once you've done it, you go, oh yeah, okay, at least I could edit the tweet, but you can't really edit what you've just chucked into Voxer. But we've just sort of started to use that with a group that's actually connected to the States, because you guys have SatChat, and one of the ones that Aussies participate in is SatChat OC. Oceania, I think it is. And so on a Saturday morning for us, we jump in and have a chat about teaching and learning. And Andrea Stringer is an Aussie teacher and primary teacher. She's one of the people that helps run it. It's really cool having we had Yong Zhao, and we've had Stephen Heppel, and we've had a bunch of fairly prominent people come in and be a mediator or a participant at least. And not to say that's the only worthwhile chats to have, at all, but it's kind of cool that they jump in as well. So there's some sort of legitimacy there from the traditional keynote kind of people. So and Voxer's we've just created a SatChat OC Voxer group. So now we're talking to each other about all sorts of things, and it's kind of nice to hear people's voices, kind of like the face-to-face thing, like I wish I was there with you right now and being able to shake your hands and look you in the eye, and you could see my body language, and of course you can see that here, but there's just something about hearing voices and seeing things that a tweet or an email can't really get across, and I think we lose that sometimes in that purely electronic thing. But if the virtual is supporting what we do face-to-face, I think that's a pretty powerful double barrel that we've got ready to shoot. So I guess my point with all that stuff is, I don't know how you guys feel, but I like to explain it to people who have no idea what Twitter is. For me, bathroom now of tens of thousands of teachers and students and parents, who you walk into this virtual space and people are chatting, and they're chatting because you just ditch the people that you're not interested in and conversation, and people have been talking for ages, and you have a conversation with them, and then they'll keep talking when you leave. But that's a really cool thing. It keeps going. It's kind of got a life of its own, and it's like those those staff room moments. I don't know if you guys have a big staff room, but the school I'm currently at, I've only been at for 2 years, and it's the first big whole staff room I've been in, and it's awesome when everyone's excited about something. it's quite horrible when everyone's just marking or silent or coughing, as we are at the moment because the flu's going through. But you know, just stay home if you're sick, really. Anyway, you know, it's pretty powerful when you walk into that classroom and people are buzzing with excitement. And I think that's what Twitter is about. It used to be about cupcakes and the Kardashians, and now it's about something really different. And I think get involved. And if you just had one person, you know, like I brought along a couple of people from work, and they're lurking at the moment. They're just sitting back. They've got their little egg. But just the other day, I had someone come up and say, "Hey, I saw this really cool thing on Twitter," and that's really powerful. You know, that potentially can change the way they teach a particular child, and therefore that child might have a different experience because of that sort of sequence of events, and that's pretty cool. I'm not even going to go through Skype and Hangout because I've seen that heaps of people have been doing Skype for Education and mystery Skypes and things like that. Just do it. Just, you know, if you want me to come into your class and talk about how we don't ride kangaroos, I'm willing to do it. And clearly I'm crazy enough to stay up until all hours. Because it's fun, you know, it's fun, it's interesting, it's different. I've got a mate who lives in Pennsylvania, another history teacher, and he Skypes into my classes from time to time. And I just sit back and say, girls, you know, because I teach all girls, girls, you know, we get a speaker today, and I just sit to the side, and then this face appears on the screen, and they start having an interactive conversation with this person on the other side of the world. Like, that's just incredible. Like, it's not really incredible to the kids because they've kind of grown up with it, but the power of it is, and the potential of it is pretty incredible still, I think. Because he'll know stuff that I just don't know. And he'll have all these little nuanced understandings of culture and things that I just can't bring into the classroom as easily. So hopefully you jump into Google Hangout like we're doing now, which is pretty straightforward. You just need every computer's got a webcam. I could even do it on my phone if I really, really wanted to. I could just hit here on my phone, so long as it's been charged, and we could have this conversation fairly easily, and that's pretty cool too. So, you know, if you're in a school that doesn't have great technology, that doesn't have wonderful Wi-Fi or internet, just, you know, just subvert it. You know, use your phone, use whatever you've got, because the kids certainly do. We found at our school that I was trying to pitch the idea of BYOD at the school, and as I walked past classrooms, we had these dodgy white Toshiba laptops. I probably shouldn't say that, my uncle works for Toshiba, but anyway, they were dodgy Toshiba laptops. And you walk through these classrooms, and they were white, right? But every third laptop had a little glowing apple on the back. I thought, oh, those are interesting Toshibas. Anyway, so we were already a BYOD school, and that's just on the desk. In their pockets, they were already bringing their... If we think any school these days really isn't a BYOD school already in some way, shape or form, well, we're kidding ourselves. So that was a pretty easy sell to the executive, I've got to say. So utilise that. You know, obviously teaching kids about digital citizenship and all that sort of stuff is wonderful, but you know, you've got to show them digital citizenship as well. So as I'm running out of words for the day, my quota, let's see, we've got a couple of minutes left, but I guess a couple of things I really wanted to push is this idea. We've got a global staff room. We should really start to use it. If you're the only teacher of a particular thing in your school, you're not. You've got colleagues at other campuses that can help you out and that are willing to. And they might be sitting in Sydney, or they might be sitting in Guatemala. They might be sitting somewhere completely different. And I think, according to Stephen Heppel, Skype's going to have automatic translate, as in voice translate, by the end of the year. So even language probably won't be a barrier anymore, which is a really awesome idea. So, things to think about with professional learning: connect with people, create those powerful ideas, and really ask yourself with professional learning, you know, who am I learning for? What changes do I want to see after I have this learning experience? Like after this session right now, what are you going to do? What are you actually going to be able to show people is different about you, about your classroom, thanks to this session? Otherwise, I really won't take offense, but there's no point you being here. I'd really rather you have been in a session which changes your life a little bit. Hopefully I've changed it a bit, even if it's just the accent, and even if it's just to say that, look, you know, we've got books in Australia and that sort of stuff. Whatever it is, hopefully it's changed your mind a little bit in some way, and that's professional learning that's worth being at. So look, I might finish on that. I know we've only got a minute or two to go, but does anyone have any questions? You can Google Teach Meet Sydney, you can Google Teach Meet Australia, you can Google me after this. Yeah, fire away.
I have a quick question. How much, you're an independent school, how much are your networks combined with the government schools, the public schools, and the other, how much does the community interwork?
Look, it's really interesting because they've all got their vested interests. So just as much as the association is a body, has its professional learning and its accreditation and all that sort of stuff, so does the Department of Education, the public school system, and so do all the different dioceses. I think that's breaking down now. So thanks to things like Google coming in and saying, we'll train you in how to use technology, and we'll do it for free. Just use our product, basically. Like Google certified education and all those sorts of things, and having Microsoft come in and say, we'll do peer coaching, we'll accredit you, it doesn't matter, we don't care where you come from. Having these sort of other players, and also TeachMe and Twitter and all these things, challenging those traditional forms of authority and distinction has been pretty amazing in the last 5 or 6 years. So it's pretty much even in terms of which sector you come from at a TeachMe, for example. Whether people are allowed to come, as in you get told about it or you're allowed to go to different sectors PD is a different story. So I might not get told about a professional learning conference that's run for Department of Education people and by Department of Education people. But that's where maybe the professional associations come in. So the History Teachers Association in New South Wales that I'm a part of, doesn't matter where you come from. You pay your membership fee, you're a member. They don't care what school you come from. Just like marking our final exams, the high school certificate exams, they don't care what sector you come from. You can do whatever you like. So the barriers are breaking down, but there's still some to knock down as well.
All right, man, we got to wrap up here.
We're done?
Yes. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
Thank you.